I didn't expect IT to crack like this.
We are live today.
We are live today. Sleepy day.
Is it?
Yeah, it's sleepy because
हिल गए यार सर आप क्या स्लीपी बोल रहे हो
हम रात को जगे हुए थे इसलिए स्लीपी डे हमारे लिए 2:30 बजे तक ट्रम्प को सुन रहे थे इसलिए स्लीपी डे हमारे लिए और उसके बाद कुछ
नहीं पता बट
अभी जाके
हिल गया है
सब लोग भी अभी सो रहे हैं क्योंकि मार्केट में कुछ नहीं हो रहा है
आईटी इंडेक्स डाउन 5%
4.5
2.3% now
नहीं 4.2
4.2 इधर 2.7 बता रहे हैं
कहाँ पर
अच्छा नहीं सॉरी 4.3% 4.3% सॉरी आई वाज लुकिंग एट द रॉन्ग परसेंटेज
पर ऐसा लग रहा है कि पूरा ट्रम्प टैरिफ आज पूरा आईटी के लिए हुआ है और किसी चीज के लिए हुआ ही नहीं है
सरप्राइजिंग राइट और आईटी पे कुछ डाला नहीं है उसने इन पर्टिकुलर
हाँ मतलब उसने इसको कहते हैं ना क्या कहते हैं अपने घर में बॉम्बिंग कर दी है इन्फ्लेशन 2 से 4% हो जाएगा ग्रोथ गिर जाएगा रिसेशन फेज बढ़ गए और उसका इम्पैक्ट आईटी पे है
I think what I found the most fascinating when I looked at it only today morning. I wasn't up like you at 2:30 in the night. हम सो गए थे but मैं जब उठा मुझे ये 52% का मैथ बिल्कुल समझ में नहीं आया for whatever reason बिल्कुल भी समझ में नहीं आया I don't know how
कोई भी रिपोर्ट में 52% नहीं था
और फिर आज
12 डिफरेंशियल वेटेड एवरेज सब पूरा कैलकुलेशन
फिर आज सुबह हमारे एक गेस्ट ने one of the guests on the show said that it's like doing 6th grade mathematics. That's when I felt good about it. I said चलो ठीक है बहुत लोगों को नहीं समझा
तुम सोच रहे हो कि मैंने सीए करके बैठा हूँ और मुझे समझ में नहीं आ रहा है और ये 6th ग्रेड का था मैथमेटिक्स
तो I felt good about it. I said ठीक है समझना भी नहीं है फिर तो but
nothing
27% therefore is the impact and fortunately he didn't go into sectors and do sector wise
He
tariffs
has mentioned that as part of the press release where he has mentioned various tax rates which we have for various segments but when the full annexure comes in that's when we're going to do it so this 26% is now 10% base and another 16% which is coming in but you know if you look at from a top down approach we are better off and relatively better than all the Asian peers. There's a report which has, I think, which has come from Morgan Stanley or Nomura, which says that you know he has gone and hit the Asia factory. I mean, your entire supply chain, and I've written about it also on the site. How in the last 3 years supply chain have changed 3 times. You know, earlier it was only China. From China it became China plus 1, China plus 2 after COVID and now this tariff is going to have another change in shift in supply chain and most likely it could be India. And
sir पर कितना uncertainty है why will someone now go and put up a fresh factory move their say a Nike they want to move their factory from Vietnam to India it's not viable to do that
it's not
in
viable
the environment
to sell
that it is
so the thing is
I don't think he'll have to back down. There is no other way only.
So
logically, it's not making sense.
No, he's not going to back down. He's eyeing $800 billion of revenue from trade.
Assuming that the $3 trillion trade deficit continues, that is not going to continue. Imports are going to get really impacted. So your hypothesis of $800 billion of revenue is based on the fact that there is a $3 trillion trade deficit.
So let's
the trade deficit is not going to be $3 trillion.
So let's be a little pragmatic and practical here, right? In that sense, we are at 27%. We have the Asian economies, which is the Taiwan, the Cambodia, the Laos, the Indonesia, Thailand, all about 32 to 46%, which is there. Now, what was preventing us from competing from those countries as a industry hub or manufacturing destination? Because low-cost
labor, only labor.
Low-cost labor, economies of scale, and low tariffs.
Correct.
Right. Now the tariff and the differential was how much? 10 to 15% differential,
correct.
Which we were not able to bridge at any cost.
Correct.
Now that has been bridged by the tariff.
That is true.
Right. So theoretically, okay, let's not say कि कल आ जाएगा इधर, ये अगले 4 साल में आएगा. Theoretically, there is a chance that now we are at par with them to compete. Saying that you come at me, if you're targeting US, I am at the same cost as you are, and you can do it. But at the same time, we are also having a bilateral trade agreement coming up.
Yes, that could be a big
That could be a turner for them, right? And don't ignore the fact that there is a third supply chain, corridor which is under the works, which is the India, Middle East, Europe, US corridor, which is there, which they're trying to make. So there could be easily a way to do it, and you put that along with the PLIs, which we have, right? Whether it's for electronics or medical equipment or battery cells or anything. These are the things, or semiconductors or chips, whatever it is. If you are going to do that here, I'm putting up a rosy picture, and I know you've been very ये हवाई के लिए बना रहा है और कुछ नहीं. नहीं, but I'm trying to say that there is a
my next statement was going to be, normally Sajeet sir is the most bearish person on the floor. Today on this show he is being the most bullish person.
I'm trying to say that there is an opportunity to seize here. Simple. That's the only thing which I'm trying to say. And that also revives the entire capex cycle for us.
Yeah.
If we see that, okay, this is going to be an opportunity and a long-term opportunity for us, the Indian companies can now seize that opportunity and do it.
Fair.
वो होगा कि नहीं होगा वो दूसरी बात है. आज पेपर में वो दिख रहा है.
Fair.
And markets हमेशा आगे का डिस्काउंट करता है. And that's the reason why we haven't seen any movement. Means the worst of case 1% गिरा था Sensex और 0.8% गिरा था Nifty. When the S&P was down 4%, futures were down 4%, and today it will be even more worse, which is going to happen. Asian markets are down in that sense. All Asian indices are down, and we are the only one which are outliers. What is the other reason which is there? There's an opportunity which is coming in here.
Is this the bottom? Therefore, are you calling the bottom now?
I'm not sure.
Vijay Kedia Singh, you shouldn't call the bottom.
No, you shouldn't call the bottom, because there is a short-term pain which is coming in, and which is coming in from the banking side, which you talk about. Because अभी Bajaj Finance पे फिर से कुछ आया है. अब बताएंगे क्या हुआ है Bajaj Finance को?
यार warning letter मिला है.
फिर से 6 महीने के
letter of displeasure. RBI has expressed displeasure.
क्या for data breaches and everything?
For the method in which they have been disbursing loans, they're saying that
again,
it's not. But my sense is that this card business of Bajaj Finance, in any case, they're going to shut down. Because it's a co-branded card business. Basically.
And they've been shutting down.
They've been already shutting it down.
Ending partnerships, basically.
I think they've already started ending partnerships. I'll recheck this fact actually. My sense is that they've already ended partnerships. So in that sense, I think
RBL के साथ तो हो गया है.
RBL के साथ end हो गया है. So देखना पड़ेगा, but मोटा मोटी मेजर तो RBL के साथ ही था जो ऑलरेडी एंड हो चुका है. Others I'll just quickly check and I'll probably get back. But point being that वो ठीक है सर. आज dominant headlines is tariffs.
50 likes
हाँ please.
Producers remind कर रहे हैं हमको 50 likes.
Yeah. Please hit the like button if you're liking what we're trying to do over here, not just today but in general.
Yes.
Puneet auto
अब खत्म तो करो मैं कि
अरे हो गया यार. अभी क्या है
अभी आपको लगता है कि हिंदुस्तान, HDFC बैंक, ICICI बैंक और कौन सा एक्सिस, कोटक, इन सब के अपडेट में कुछ मिलेगा?
कुछ नहीं मिलेगा. क्या मिलेगा?
एडवांस ग्रोथ, क्रेडिट ग्रोथ कुछ नहीं आएगा.
So credit growth, I mean in some of the PSUs that I've been seeing, Punjab and Sindh है, Central Bank है, अच्छा credit growth था, 16.5%. PNB was soft, frankly, 0.5% QOQ. M&M Finance was also on the softer side. So it depends. I think everyone's calibrating on the basis of
the smaller ones would be expected, right?
Yeah. But those are not small anymore. So Central Bank, for example, has a 3 lakh crore book.
Compared to the bigger ones.
3 lakh crore is
compared to 16 lakh
is
crore
as large. 25 lakh crore HDFC abhi.
Yeah.
Because combined book hai.
Combined book.
So point being, I fully agree that. So I think it's in pockets. There are some pockets which are growing well. There are some pockets which are not growing well. Especially those with lesser asset quality issues are doing well. PNB, I'm a little surprised as to why 0.5%. I don't know what the stock is doing today. I'll quickly check that. But PNB Housing, on the contrary, is doing well. So yeah.
But I think Puneet,
Yeah.
तुम्हारा auto sector जो है,
Auto is in focus. By the way, PNB is up 0.5%. So
0.5%, yeah.
just wanted to.
Neeraj says messaging, miss me guys. So we do, and I'm again under a lot of pressure. Last time also I said I'm not a replacement.
ये नीरज ना हमेशा देखो प्रेशर में डालने
डालता है. मैं सिर्फ इम्पैक्ट सब हूँ बस. ये IPL का मैच चल रहा है और कुछ नहीं है. But for autos, yeah, and I'm surprised because everyone yesterday said that auto and pharma will be impacted. Pharma का छोड़ दिया, हमको तोड़ दिया, and everything. And
अच्छी तरह तोड़ा ना तुमको.
हाँ, but the thing is, I feel
और
like
अभी तो IT भी ले रहा है तो IT को भी तोड़ दिया. क्या चल क्या रहा है पुनीत?
पुनीत जो सेक्टर में जा रहा है वहाँ पर तोड़े जा रहे हैं.
EMS अभी देख लो आप लोग. डिक्सन भी नीचे गिर गया है, 19 का 13 हो गया है.
नहीं पर बताओ यार, so you pulled out some data as to which would be the most exposed companies. मुझे ऑटो चाहिए.
And
which would be the most
but
exposed
surprisingly, what we've seen, not that big of an stock price correction in auto players. Today we've seen Tata Motors is down 1%, and that was one of the major ones.
Which is a surprise, right?
Yeah,
मेरे को लगा
Tata Motors is a
because
surprise.
Tata they're putting 20% on European Union.
Yeah.
And I think 25% of JLR sales goes
Go
to
to,
the
yeah.
US.
1 in 4 cars is sold in the US. That has now increased to
or
1 in 3.
Yeah, so
in 9 months of FY25 is 33%.
oh, they've increased it further.
Yeah, because it's like the only market that's growing. So उस logic से.
So do you think that the US market can sustain this increase in price? This 25% increase in price for a Jaguar or a Land Rover?
Yeah, I think the luxurious and the ultra luxurious vehicles, which is where these operate in, I think that will.
They don't care कि अभी 25 तक का बढ़ा दिया तो क्या है?
And I think they might delay the
Sir,
purchase.
impact तो आता है, कैसे बात करते हो यार? 100% impact
60 लाख की गाड़ी में 15 लाख और बढ़ा
सर 60 लाख की गाड़ी आती नहीं है ना. जैगवार आजकल कितने में आती है?
मत आया 70-80
लाख की अब पर यूएस में तो उतना होगा ना कि 20
और उसमें 25% मींस करोड़ रुपए का गाड़ी हो गया instead of 80.
But it's also that a lot of these stocks preempted the move, corrected so much. Like Sona BLW was the other one, is down 20% in 3 months. I think they preempted. It's that I think a multi-year low, to be honest, since the listing in 2021. So I think that
good opportunity to buy therefore.
I think it's more because I think Trump has also not put any additional tariffs on Mexico or Canada. And guys like Sona BLW, they have 40% of the revenue from US.
But they already have tariffs there.
Yes,
no?
And no additional tariffs on the USMCA, the trade agreement which they have with Mexico and Canada. I think that was one, and I have been trying to just check with the company as well what is their official stance on how they're going, because they have one plant in the US, they have one plant in Mexico, another one coming in Q3. So I think commentary will be something in this particular quarter. But apart from that, I think the forging companies is the other one which was a surprise. Not too much movement on Bharat Forge or on Ramkrishna Forging. 30% से ऊपर है उनका revenue from US. So that was the other one. And I think last month, I think it was just the tire makers. Samvardhana Motherson is the other one, the obvious one. 18% revenue from US. But
is it possible that we do a quick analysis for closing India market close, where we speak about auto stocks where the impact has not been too much, but the last 3 months
has been
a lot of this has already been built in.
Yeah, we should.
Possible?
Yeah,
you think that makes sense? Okay,
yeah,
so we'll probably analyze that on India market close today. So stay tuned for that. And how do valuations also stack up, Puneet? So some perspective for viewers.
Yeah,
भाई अभी खरीदना चाहिए कि नहीं खरीदना चाहिए?
I think currently for Tata Motors we generally look at EV by EBITDA because while the others we look at PE. I think Tata Motors, because the JLR is there.
And the interest cost is high.
Yeah, and we've spoken about this. That JLR is trading at roughly, analysts always penciled in a 2 to 3 times EV by EBITDA. It's currently 1.5, and that is known. But yesterday I was just speaking to a CEO of a listed tech company, and he said that uncertainty is the biggest problem in the IT space right now, and that's something on autos as well. Once it's sure कि अभी ये हो गया है, अभी he's not going back. That will also help all the companies to make decisions to go forward. The problem is कि ये हो गया है, but अभी भी there's uncertainty around it. Like I think Rahul said in the morning, Nirmal Banka, that Pharma, he's mentioned in his speech that we'll think about pharma to bring pharma in India, but in the fine print there's nothing for pharma in terms of tariffs. So
नहीं है White House statement पे है.
no, White House
White House
statement
statement
में
लिखा है कि
it's saying the
exempted.
pharma is exempted. But in
Exempted,
his speech, he's mentioned that we want to localize the manufacturing of pharmaceutical in
But
US.
it's not going to happen. It takes
Yeah,
5 to 10
exactly.
years.
But the thing is, the uncertainty is the problem right now. कि एक बार ये हो गया, अब आगे बढ़ो. Let's look forward, and I think that's what, at least in a lot of sectors, the market and you guys spoke about it. कि,
See, a sector like auto, Puneet, you can avoid imports,
yeah,
right? You
Correct.
can reduce imports, you're fine. How do you do that for pharma?
pharma
Not
to
possible
not
only.
possible, yes.
And therefore, I'm not so sure whether pharma he will have a
manufacturing,
he will have much of a choice. He will have to.
45% of the total pharma exports that US does is generics. And 90% of the prescriptions that is done are Indian generics. So you can imagine कि
Yeah,
भाई
the scale of that, yeah.
scale of that which is there. So as of now, pharma is safe.
Safe, yeah. I think on auto, just one point I wanted to make, while the impact is known, I think it could be an opportunity right now to look at it, specifically because
यही तो
it
जानना
could,
है.
it could be an opportunity, especially for the likes of Sona, BLW, all these players, because we've seen that. I think forging में there could be some problem because there was this other news that she'd cover on the channel, the US EPA, the norms are going to come in 2027, it would trigger a pre-buy. अभी वो norms हटा रहे शायद, like greener norms, so इनके लिए pre-buy शायद नहीं होगा, तो I think Ramakrishna and भारत
अरे ग्रीन तो अभी कुछ भी नहीं है. ट्रम्प कह रहा है मैं
green है नहीं, so they don't care about the green norms, so I think वो नहीं है. But I think the auto component guys, Sona, BLW, Tata Motors also looking very interesting because this is a year of launches. Sierra, they're looking at curve repositioning, they're repositioning in the IPL also. They are serious because they've invested 4 years behind a model and that's not working over the last 3 months. And I think they will look at it. They will. It'll be very interesting on that aspect.
Never seen Sona at this valuation, frankly, in terms of price to earning. 47 times price to. I'm just looking at the P ratio.
No, but I'll tell you, they have.
अरे सर हाई होगा, but you have
thing
to
is,
relative.
they
सर
are
देखो ना,
expected
ग्राफ
to-
देखो,
Yeah.
5 साल का ये P रेशियो का चार्ट है.
And revenue is doubling in FY27. So that's the point.
But can it now double?
Yeah, I think because they acquired the railway equipment division of Escorts. उसका 1,000 crore का value है, that will come in FY27 anyway. And the traditional business has been growing at 25% CAGR. Their order book is 6 times its revenue.
बोलो सर, अभी बताओ.
That's the thing. I
अभी
feel,
बताओ.
and I'm feeling that they have a 10 lakh capacity of starter motors specifically in the US. So I feel like they will be ahead of this aspect.
So the question which comes to all of us is that auto mein, which are the companies which are relatively better positioned as compared to those which may be impacted because of the kind of tariffs, right? Means in the sense, there's a 25% tariff which has been imposed, which comes into effect from today.
Yeah, on foreign
automobiles, or on automobiles which have non-American parts.
Yes.
Right? Means उस पे जो आएगा.
Yeah.
तो कौन से होंगे? मतलब Sono को maybe one.
Yeah.
Samvardhana would be one which is
because
there.
the thing is, we can't just make this judgment on US revenues. Like Samvardhana has 18% revenues from USA. How much is that from their Alabama factory that they get? Because that won't have any impact of tariffs.
Correct.
The other aspect for Samvardhana is they are importing BMWs and Mercedes, and Samvardhana is a part supplier there. तो वो यूरोप से उधर भेजता होगा. That is getting imported, उस पर tariff पड़ेगा. So वो है. So and I think that uncertainty might get cleared in this particular quarter for Sona
But
as well.
एक चीज तो clear है ना. And what we
Guys, 20 more likes to go. Please hit like. We want to take questions.
So
We're running out of time, guys. Sorry.
We are having an issue with respect to margins. The margins are going to be hit across the board for across the companies. While it may not be the revenue impact itna, but margin impact होगा, क्योंकि every company which is impacted will have to give away some of its buffer to maintain a market in the US. Basically. Simple as that.
So one thing seems very clear. 3 months from now, this will either be a very, very obvious opportunity, or we will feel that this is a missed chance or whatever. So really need to analyze this better. Puneet, help us in India Market Close. Help us do that.
We'll do that.
Because I think auto should be something that we
But there's
cover well.
one which is coming in for gold.
Gold.
All time
gold has
high.
done.
Yeah.
Gold
But
is
that's
on gold.
always the case,
Yes,
right?
yes,
In
yes.
uncertainty.
And
Uncertainties
it's
favor
and next
sun.
couple of मीन्स हमने सोचा था कि अप्रैल 2 को हो जाएगा, अब अप्रैल 2 से अप्रैल 9 चला गया है. अब अप्रैल 2 एंड 9 के बीच में कितना चेंज होगा,
कितने tweets आते हैं.
ट्वीट्स आते हैं या कितने ट्वीट आते हैं,
Yeah.
वो पता नहीं.
Yeah. So, but for gold in particular, I just want to highlight this. Gold has been a store of value since the last thousands of years. 20% of that has come in the last 3 months.
Yes.
3 months.
Yeah.
So 80% of the value from infinite to 3 months ago, in the last 3 months, is where 20 to 25% of the rally has been.
Imagine.
Huge, right?
So do you think that?
So 85, chalo,
do you think,
correct
Do you think that
metric
if
clue to
everything
85 is there.
stabilizes, maybe 3 or 6 months down the line, there could be a correction in gold?
There could be because
3,000.
sir,
it's
sorry,
closing to
in
3,200.
your opinion as well, forget my opinion, your opinion as well, equity going up and gold going up doesn't make sense.
No. Normally it's
And
the
that's
other way around.
exactly what's happened.
Yeah.
So at some point, one of them have to reverse. It could either
But
be equities, it could
in a
either or
longer
both,
term,
for that matter.
we all have been taught that in the longer term, it's equity which gives you much better
Yeah, because you are generating some value along
along
with
with
just a store of value. no?
value, right?
Because gold, it just tracks inflation, technically speaking. So when inflation is high, gold does well. Typically,
And
that's what
volatility.
happens.
And now
And
it's coming-
volatility, correct. In other asset classes, it could be real estate also. Like for example, 2007 gold would have done very, very well. I don't have the number now, but would have done very, very well. So
Mr. Kumar has given a question. I never miss your show. I wish your producers can allot more time. Also, I learn a lot from your discussion. Thank you, Kumar.
producers, there is a request.
Devanshu Kumar, as I said a few days ago, we should have one show called Trump, Tariff and Tandav on NDTV Profit.
Puneet, opportunity for you.
देखो तांडव तो हो ही रहा है
तो ही रहा है.
और अब आगे का पता नहीं हमको, but thanks Devanshu for this suggestion. Know your market more. Sir, why did Dabur fall today? Is it the signal of low Q4 results? Sir, what's big
Yeah,
news on
poor
Vedanta? आज क्यों गिरा?
Poor Q4. Dabur is poor.
Dabur
Q4.
का update has been very
poor, yeah.
very poor. Means they're looking at hit on their EBITDA on a year-to-year basis and also profitability there. Domestic growth is subdued. There is slightly increase in international business, which I think expected to grow around 15%. But overall, margins are under pressure, profitability is under pressure, and there is an urban consumption issue which is continuing. So first half of FY26 is not going to be as encouraging as we all expected. Of course, urban consumption is not going to come. Going to happen very soon. It will take a couple of quarters, but Dabur has more exposure in urban markets, so that's something which is there. So that's why Dabur has fallen.
I think
Vedanta
also,
ka
on the Dabur ones, they also said that the truncated winter is a big issue.
yes,
That's
the
a very
early
big
he said
problem,
delayed
yeah.
winter and truncated winter.
वो हमेशा बेचारे दोनों
साइड से मारे
जाते हैं हमेशा.
मतलब च्यवनप्राश ज्यादा बहुत लोग ज्यादा नहीं खाते
Cold creams is getting impacted because of that.
Yeah. So Vedanta, it's again global volatility, metal prices, metal impact. That's what is happening, and there is also a corporate event pending on Vedanta,
The
demerger, which is expected to happen in the next couple of months. So that's something, but mostly it's global sentiment which is dragging down Vedanta. Please talk about IT and traffic implication. Okay, I'm looking. This is Kumar. I'm looking to invest in a bearish trend in the long run. Do you think IT will come out despite AI and tariffs? Good question. IT is the worst hit today, and the reason being that the Trump tariff is going to hit domestic growth for US. To which Indian IT has around 40 to 50% exposure of their revenues. Discretionary spends are going to be subdued, so spending is not going to happen. There was one report which mentioned that the impact of these tariff hikes, if imports continue, is going to be around $4,200 per family per year.
Yeah.
Which is a huge impact. So there is going to be consumption hit going to come in unless Trump now goes and says,
Huge hit.
I'm going to cut your taxes and I'm going to give money to you. If that doesn't happen, then this $4,200 hit, which is coming per household, will translate into lower household spending and lower capital spending and lower corporate spending, which would mean that there is a slowdown which is coming for IT, and that's the reason why IT has been badly hit today. Of course, the tariff hikes which he has announced is worse than expected, and every brokerage is talking about. But within that, you need to see whether India is much better or not.
But you know, in IT, what's interesting to me is that a lot of reports have been saying the rate cuts won't help IT. It's the GDP growth essentially, right? I think that's good. But I feel that brokerages are a little late in downgrading IT right now. I think they should have come in February.
That is true. And
it's a little late
and
now.
we've been talking about it for
We've been talking about it lots of times. I truly believe that next 18 months, this is very, very personal, all right? So I think everybody has an opinion and everybody has a right to be wrong, and so do I on this forum.
I remember
but in the next 18 months, IT will bottom at some point.
I'm not saying
And thereafter
I may say that it may happen much earlier.
12 to 18 months, I'm being conservative.
But the signs were all over the place at
Correct.
least last 4-5 months back.
Correct.
From January onwards, we've been talking about it.
Yes.
That IT is.
And then Rucha thinks I hate her. That's not true. I just feel that.
So I feel like
Rucha, we just read the lines.
So it's like JPM, Goldman Sachs came out this week, and today we've seen the Bernstein also note coming in.
And Nomura.
And Nomura. I think it's a little late now because, but I feel like commentary will drive it. Results says Umeed mat rakho. I think commentary.
But
from
you know,
the big
TCS is
ones.
coming out with the earnings on 10th.
April
10th is being a holiday, but 11th. हाँ.
मेरे को आना पड़ा इधर.
तुमको आना पड़ेगा, मेरे को जाना पड़ेगा उधर इंटरव्यू के लिए.
Yeah.
तो सोचो. But ये बताओ, next time Rinal, hello NDTV, could you please ask the US trade representatives in India how the heck they calculated that India charges of 54%?
Good question.
Don't worry.
At 26%, we are getting worse treatment than Canada, Mexico, whom Trump abuses daily.
Yeah.
Okay, we understand.
We understand your
sympathize.
sentiment.
And frankly, we've been caught off guard because, in all fairness, on this forum,
भी नहीं था भाई.
and on this forum, we've kept saying that the delta is single digit.
5%
But
का
the worry is we have no idea how this 54% is computed, and therefore we have no idea how the 27% is computed. Half of 54%, of course. So therefore we don't know how this.
Said, you know, total ले लिया और deficit क्या उसको divide किया देगा.
हाँ, ऐसा ही कुछ yeah. So there is a view that there was one way to do the math, but frankly even we are at our wits end. But let's think of this more positively than negatively. Is this a bargaining chip? Very, very likely. Is there a free trade agreement between India and US possible? I think India is the only country where it can likely even happen. I don't think there is any other country which is able to manufacture everything that the US really wants.
Because what we are understanding from the government sources is that we are in a very advanced stages of agreement, and if that goes through, then there would be a better tariff rate that will come in. So base tariff rate of 10% will remain. वो तो रहने वाला है सबके लिए. वो 26 से कितना नीचे आएगा? That is the only thing which we are talking about.
Correct. And I don't think it's sustainable for the US to do this, because from a consumption standpoint, there is a huge impact, which they are not currently realistically demonstrating कि भाई कितना impact होगा. That they are not saying.
Srivatsa Rao, when will bank and NBFC bounce back? What can trigger the rally in banks and NBFC?
Growth, asset quality. These are two things which will trigger a rally. If asset quality were to improve and if growth were to come back, deposit growth environment in any case is starting to ease up. We'll hear from the RBI next week. How quickly can it? Well,
what do you think?
1 to 2 quarters is my sense.
RBI policy is coming next week. What do you think it will happen?
Well,
are they going to cut the rate?
Yeah,
they will change the stance for
some
sure.
people saying that CRR cut another 50 basis points is possible. At least that's
rate
the
cut
ask.
Bhi hoga?
Rate cut bhi hoga.
Because liquidity split, they have done enough. They are, as far as stance is concerned, they are neutral as of now.
No, but that liquidity has to sustain, no sir. So they may have done enough, but unless they do a CRR 50 basis points, you're not sure whether that liquidity will sustain. They'll have to continue to do OMOs and stuff like that. As your VRRR start expiring, again they'll have to do VRRR, So they'll have to continue to pump in liquidity, because at some point that liquidity will also expire. You will get that money back, and then again you'll have to push it back out into the system.
You know, there's one important thing which we are missing out in the entire scheme of things. The moment Trump puts tariff on all these Asian countries, there is a chance that these things start getting dumped into Indian markets.
Possible.
Especially from ASEAN countries, because we have a free trade agreement with them, right?
Possible.
Right?
सस्ता माल मिलेगा.
सस्ता माल यहाँ पर dump होने लगेगा, and then you will see that domestic companies crying, saying that, you know, we are getting a very unfair trade treatment which is happening. So
that's one angle.
That's the next angle which is going to come in. Anyways, there is something. Vigin, hi. Is risk reward favoring the short-term long trade in pharma stocks exporting to US? Yeah, I think in the short term, I think pharma is insulated. Yeah. I don't know in the long term whether there would be some measures, because Trump is talking about how pharmaceuticals companies should manufacture in US. But that is a very long drawn process. It takes at least 2 years for a facility to get approved by the US FDA and for drugs to ship from here to there. So it's in the short term, yes, pharma stocks are insulated, but in the long term, not. We're not aware of it.
But pharma index has done very, very well. So be careful of that.
I think the impact was on Dr. Reddy's, Aurobindo, Zydus. I think those are the which had a lot of export to the US, and I think they had seen some impact. So I think they are the ones which are seeing very well. But stocks like Cipla and Sun Pharma don't have that kind of impact, like a high share to the US.
Aurobindo, DRL. DVs, I think they have Zydus, they have good exposure to the US. Balaji Ganeshan, hi team, great show by you all. Thank you, Balaji. I believe the market has discounted every news as of now, good, bad. So a trigger is required until the next market. Until then, market will be sideways. Thoughts? I agree with you. Simple as that.
बहुत uncertainty है sir. I don't agree. बहुत uncertainty.
Sideways रहेगा ना? या और नीचे जाएगा?
मतलब कल सुबह उठ के अगर वो
मेरे को बैंकिंग में
अगर वो प्रोडक्ट वाइज उसने लेके आया, अगर वो बोला कि नहीं ऑटोज आई विल कंटिन्यू द 26% ऑन ऑटोज, 27% ऑन ऑटोज, व्हाटएवर 25% ऑन ऑटोज एंड से फार्मा आई वोंट डू एनीथिंग, चलो कंफर्म्ड, देन things will change. It will depend on what he is doing. So, but I believe that bottom up stories, if you pick well, then you will do well. I mean, that's what I feel.
No, so the impact of a slowdown in exports, if it happens, that could be at best be 50 bips to our GDP. So if we are looking at 6.5% for FY26, and it's an adverse impact because of the export to US, the impact is only 0.5%, which is.
And therefore, bottom up, you'll have to pick. Which are the ones which will be less impacted. क्योंकि GDP पे तो impact कम है. But आपने अगर बॉटम अप कोई ऐसे पिक कर दिया जहाँ पे तुम्हारे पास 80% यूएस एक्सपोजर है और उधर उसने डाल दिया कुछ, तो स्टॉक विल
react.
But yes, you know, I think the biggest trigger now would be the Q4 earnings commentary which is coming in.
That is also true.
In the next 2 days, today and tomorrow, or maybe Monday, you will have at least 3 or 4 banks coming in. You will get an idea of what they are talking about, including Bajaj Finance will come in. And in this end, HDFC Bank, Axis, maybe Kotak आता है?
कोटक नहीं आता है.
कोटक नहीं आता. ICICI Bank
Axis भी नहीं आता है. ICICI भी नहीं आता.
नहीं आता है.
तो सिर्फ HDFC इंडसइंड ही आएगा टॉप 5 में.
ये दो बता देंगे कि भाई किस डायरेक्शन में जा रहा है. RBL भी आएगा.
RBL भी
आएगा. तो ये सारे जो इसमें हैं वो बता देंगे कि भाई किस डायरेक्शन में बैंक जा रहे हैं. और 10 तारीख को IT वाले बता देंगे कि किस डायरेक्शन में IT जा रहे हैं. So I think by 10th of the month, which is middle of next week, we will be able to get the direction of where the bank and IT is going. And because why I'm saying that is because you have 33% banks in the index and around 14-15%. So around half of the weightage of the index is between these two sectors. So you will get an idea of it, and then you know whether which direction markets are going. FMCG तो वैसे भी नहीं write off कर दो भाई इस क्वार्टर में. कुछ नहीं होने वाला उसका. वैल्यूशन वेरी गुड. कल एक इससे याद आया कि कल एक रिपोर्ट था सप्लाई स्मॉल एंड मिड कैप आर स्टिल नॉट रीजनेबल. वे शुड वन लुक फॉर फ्रेश purchases. No banks, no MDFCs.
Look inward. Look at infra. Look at
आज
look
देखो
at
small cap
capex
has been
themes. Look at power.
small cap 250 has been outperformer today. And mid cap भी इतना नहीं है, मतलब 0.380% गिरा है, but small cap has been outperformer, and most of the small caps are domestic focused companies actually, not too much export oriented companies. So I think there is some value buying which is coming into small cap companies. Go through the companies and see which is the company which could be
But
there.
within auto components also, we didn't see, like I was expecting some kind of smart money moving towards the domestic auto components guys, but that's not happened yet. I think everyone's just on the sidelines with Q4. But in terms of sectors, I think one which I think Rahul Agarwal spoke about was defense as an opportunity.
That is true, which we spoke
like
about.
We've been speaking about that
defense,
regularly.
Yeah, so I think like stocks.
Even during the correction, 1 month ago, we spoke about defense and we said that it doesn't matter that orders are not coming through. When they come, they'll be bunched up. And in any case, these guys already have book to bills of 3 years. So when you have a book to bill of 3,
करने की बात कर रहे हैं.
when you have a book to bill of 3, तो book to bill of 5 आज हो गया 6 महीने बाद, क्या फर्क पड़ता है? तुम execute तो कर नहीं पाने वाले हो.
I think the brokerages also on BL was like they missed FY25 guidance.
Does it matter?
They already got one order today, like I think yesterday, I think 600 crores ka, but I think that will be something that's something to watch for, because
So
BL has been in this range for 6 months.
हीरो जल्दी बताओ. हीरो का क्या?
Hero Motor Corp.
बहुत strong numbers थे.
Strong numbers, yeah, but like a lot of times I take it with a pinch of salt in March because they fill up inventory a lot of times.
तो ठीक है, हम wholesale नहीं देखते हैं.
Retail has been थोड़ा impacted in March, and that's for two-wheelers.
ये ना कहानी वहाँ पर
Retail has
आती
been,
है.
and I feel like that's for both Hero as well as Bajaj. The sales have been like Bajaj is a 1% growth, TVS is at 17 for this month. So it's a very stark difference, and TVS has been outperforming. So I think
Retail में TVS का 17% है.
No, retail में इनका wholesale में 17. I think retail also I'll check, but it should be at least around double digit at least.
Not bad actually. पर वो mostly EV के through, EV scooters के through जा रहे हैं.
I think अभी one interesting trend is that scooters is outperforming motorcycles growth over the last 3 months.
Cannibalize कर रहा है?
Looks like it. And
मतलब
for
cost-
TVS, the Jupiter 110cc wala is just taken off so well. In the price point at the time where EV scooters are more relevant now, it's still like I think it's priced at 71,000. There is a EV scooter available in that range, but it's just that the trust on the brand and how it's accepted, that's something very interesting.
In the last couple of days, I've seen a lot of reports on EV adoption basically. That FY26 में it's going to be a new level of adoption that's going to come in, and that's primarily because passenger cars पे तो हमने we are going to see a lot of launches coming in. But two-wheelers adoption will also be there, and now three-wheelers के अंदर भी आ रहा है. So initially the thought was कि three-wheelers में सबसे पहले होगा, फिर जाइए two-wheeler में होगा, फिर passenger car में होगा. But the rate at which passenger cars may be adopted is much more. M&M numbers नहीं आए ना?
For March?
No,
आ गया.
कितने थे? EV कितने? EV का कितना नंबर बोला?
He didn't give that.
He didn't give? Surprising because.
So I think
split नहीं दिया उसने, सीधा PV दिया.
Right now it's like the bookings have happened. I think deliveries थोड़ा time लगेगा. I think by March end is what it was expected to start. I think
roads में आ गए हैं already.
So some commentary I think there, but M&M का क्या है? It's like they have a capacity of 5,000 and it's going to increase to 10,000 per month. तो 60,000 से 1,20,000 का तो range है उनके पास. And they already have bookings of 30,000. So that is definitely one aspect. I think for within two-wheelers, brokerages are through bearish going into next year. And what you said, EV penetration, it's like 2.5% now for passenger cars. It's expected to be 5 in 2 years. So with Maruti's Grand Vitara and the other players also there, I think that's
Do you think, okay, quickly, do you think the price hikes which have been taken by Maruti and
have been
Tata
called.
Motors, others, is going to impact the
I think what's
sales?
interesting is Maruti ने price hike announce कर दिया था April का. कल they've come out with price hike 62,000 Vitara, but on 8th April से.
Okay.
तो पूरा गुड़ी पड़वा नवरात्रि वो बेचेगा, and then he'll announce the price hike. I think that's also a good strategy which they've taken.
Chalo, guys, I think we have gone overboard.
We've gone very overboard.
Yes.
Short answer to the long question. Look at inward facing sectors. Look at domestic facing sectors. Lenders, you can look at infra companies, you can look at defense companies, you can look at PSUs. You can look at two-wheeler companies selling predominantly to India, all insulated.
Well, the
all no impact.
growth has slowing. I think वो growth का ही है
And
हमारी
and
तो
there it's certain that the margin impact will be there.
yes
Correct.
That has to be. So there will be a impact on the earnings, and so there could be an impact on the P's of these companies.
Done.
But when it all settles down, it's going to be better, I guess.
Yeah. Okay.
Chalo.
Thank you so much,
Thank you
guys.
so
Thanks
much,
for
guys.
joining us.
We close at 58.3% down.
Thank you, sir. Sorry.
Chalo.
हाँ यार